We start the day under cloudy skies. It's 33 degrees and feels like 28 in Clinton here this morning.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Chances of rain and snow later this afternoon into the evening. Temperatures in the upper 30s today. Rain and snow mixing tonight with temperatures in the lower 30s. Cloudy skies on Thursday, highs in the mid 40s. Thursday night, cloudy, lows in the mid-30s. For your New Year's Eve day, partly sunny, highs in the mid-50s. New Year's Day, rain, even snow, mostly later in the morning into the afternoon, highs of 40 degrees. New precipitation between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch on New Year's Day. Sunday, sunny with a high only of 18 degrees as things cool off in a big way later in the New Year's weekend. Across central Illinois here on this Wednesday morning, partly cloudy skies, 32 degrees in Bloomington, 33 in Hayworth, 34 in Leroy, 35 in Farmer City, 35 in Champaign, 36 in Monticello, 37 in Decatur, 34 in Mount Pulaski, 33 degrees in Lincoln, 33 degrees in Springfield, 30 degrees in Peoria. 33 under mostly cloudy skies in Clinton. Northwest winds are calm, 91% humidity, 10 miles of visibility on this Wednesday morning. Get the latest in local weather at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From regional radio, DeWittDailyNews.com and the WHOW app. This is local information making a difference.
Thanks for being with us here this morning. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Help us help you by getting vaccinated. That's the message from Warner Hospital CEO Paul Skowron, who says the surge of COVID cases in Illinois hospitals only got worse over the weekend, and now they are seeing asymptomatic patients coming in to be tested for COVID, which is adding to the backlog of issues already plaguing Illinois hospitals.
So we're sort of finding here in before
last week, we talked about the impending shortness of testing supplies and staff. And now I have less staff, specifically in the lab from some flu and so forth. The emergency room has always been challenged, but now more patients are presenting themselves, and a lot of them just want to be tested. They're not really sick. They want to be tested. So some of the central hospitals just last night said, we're only going to test people that have symptoms, and we may get there. Right now, we have a 45-minute wait time to get tested. It was 30 minutes yesterday, and it's 45 minutes now. And so I'm just really asking the public, to help us help you by getting vaccinated so that we can better serve you when you have those non-COVID health conditions that we're really supposed to be there for the flu and the respiratory, but the heart disease and the diabetes. And it's starting to rain snow right now. Eventually, there's going to be car accidents. So there's going to be some trauma incidents that we're typically supposed to be there for in the emergency room, but we're getting clogged up with COVID-related visits.
According to Skowron, they are close to joining central systems and not being able to accommodate the testing of asymptomatic patients. He also notes the regulations of requiring a negative test to participate in social events are creating issues, especially in places like Chicago.
Over the weekend and right through yesterday, I see some very sick people waiting in the waiting area, and I also see people that are just anxious and feel the need to be tested. And we are directing them to the walk-in clinic or go to your primary care doctor and get an order for testing. But we are close to also being one of the facilities that are going to say, if you don't have symptoms, we can't test you right now. Not enough supplies, not enough people. I have been up in the Chicago area this last weekend, and the lines are around the block specifically because of those incidents. They want to go to social events. And, unfortunately, many of these sporting events and social events and theater events, they're all being canceled anyway. But folks are trying to prove that they are negative. So they're lining up.
Could those long lines for a test come to Central Illinois? Skowron indicates it is his fear that will be what some places look like after the new year.
My fear is that after New Year's, that's what it's going to look like here in Clinton, because we're in the middle of it now. The Omicron is spreading exponentially right now. And so the latest statistics just yesterday from public health departments in the area is that we're still 80% COVID Delta variant, but now it's 20% Omicron. And the other geographic areas have shown that if it's 20% this week, it's going to be 40% next week and 60% the next week. So I'm just trying to prepare and set expectations for the month of January.
Skowron says nearly 80% of hospitalizations are the Delta variant and hopes people will prepare themselves by getting vaccinated ahead of those New Year's gatherings. If you're looking for one last thing to do before school gets back underway for the second semester, the Sangamon Valley CEO program is inviting you to its fundraiser on Sunday, January 2nd. Ethan Robson explains the event is at Pre-Game Sports Complex in Monticello. It is a mini golf 12-hole course with Disney and sports themes.
Yeah, so the fundraiser is a one-day event, January 2nd at Pre-Game Sports. It's called Mini Swings. So basically, it's a 12-hole indoor mini golf event. It's designed for anyone who wants to come, just like a last fun event before we go back to school, just to get the kids out and have some. At first, we were going to use wood, but then we realized we didn't necessarily have the time to get all the wood figured out. So we ended up going and using PVC pipe, and we used connectors and stuff. So it made the outlines of the holes really easy, and it sped up the process a lot. So we have two themes. One, we divided the 12 holes into 6 and 6, and so one through 6 is Disney theme. Got Monsters Inc., Inside Out, we got Up, Toy Story, you name it. And then 6 through 12 is sports theme. So we got sports balls, we got softball, basketball, golf.
Robson notes it was quite a process to settle on the mini golf idea, but they also had to keep in mind their time frame to get the event in by around Valentine's Day.
So basically what we did, there's 4 of us on the team, 4 students, and so we all got into a little group during class one day, and we wrote down all the ideas we could think of, whether they were good or bad. And then we decided we got 2 votes or 3 votes for each one, and then we just worked our way down and came up with mini swings and the indoor golf event. So we thinking bake sale, car wash, basketball event, basically something along those ideas. But the timeline was anywhere from December to Valentine's Day. So it kind of shrunk our ideas down even more.
With only 4 students in the program this year and putting the event on right after the turn of the calendar year, facilitator of the Sangamon Valley CEO program, Lisa Shepard, is impressed with the work the kids were able to do in a short amount of time.
They did. I'm really impressed with this group. We've got a lot of really hard workers, and to pull it off during their Christmas break, a time when they would have the option to just relax and take a few weeks off. They've really worked hard to make this a really quality event for everyone who comes out. It's neat to see the quality of the little minions that they came up with, and that it's 12 unique holes. You're not playing the same hole over and over again. I call them my small and mighty team because there are 4 of them, but they have a real desire to do quality work, which I really appreciate.
Robson thanks the city of Monticello and Filippo's Pizza for being key sponsors for the event. Tickets can be purchased at SangamonValleyCEO.com or on the day of the event at Pre-Game Sports Complex in Monticello. The event again is Sunday, January 2nd from noon to 5 p.m. If one of your goals in 2022 is to return to the workforce or take that leap of faith and change careers, act now. Larry Peterson at Workforce Investment Solutions told Regional Radio News on the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, you need to start with what are your goals. Set those with a month to 6 months in advance.
So we're sort of finding here in December, some of our inquiries have picked up, and at the same time, we think that there could be more people inquiring, what kind of what's going to happen in the new year. So when you think of the resolution, we're all sort of saying what went right with last year, what's going to change next year. And so with a resolution, I always start off with, and you hear it, and maybe it's sort of not too important, but you sort of say, what are your goals? You got to have something out there that you want to do. Now, again, maybe our goals are for 1 month, 3 months. If an employer, they're looking a year, 2 years down the line, what are going to be their challenges? What improvements are they going to make? What new products are they going to be putting out, whether it's a service product or a physical product? The same thing with a job seeker. Like you mentioned, they may have been in an industry where before the pandemic, they were sort of saying, well, this is sort of a dead end job, but I'm making okay money. But now they have had to change. Maybe their goals in their own personal and family life have changed to where say, maybe I had to change industries. How can I get the certifications, or what? I have two different ideas. Do I want to become a truck driver or do I want to become a nurse or a CNA?
Peterson reminds Workforce has services for both workers and employers. He explains he'll do as much as he can to make the process seamless for both parties.
Yeah, Workforce Investment Solution is the local federally funded agency that serves both Macon and DeWitt County, and we're charged with helping job seekers find good, sustainable employment, and also helping employers. That's really our mandate. Is it's all employer driven. What do they need to make their company profitable? Both of those segments, we have a great selection of services for both job seekers and employers. And really, the first step is always just coming in and saying, I heard you on the radio. I read something about it in the paper. What exactly? What can you do for me? Is there strings attached? Do I have to pay something? How much information am I going to have to give away? And really, as a small business employer myself, and also working for Workforce Investment Solutions, I make it as seamless and as, let's say, less threatening as possible. And yes, overall, our services are free. It's your taxpayers' dollars that we get monitored how we spend that money, and so we have to show that it's going to worthwhile causes. The seamless would be, I do a lot of the work for the employers. They're looking to help train someone or get good employees. How can we help assess them? It's not a big rigorous undertaking for them to maybe do some extra assessments. Also recruiting. Let us help you recruit through a Zoom event or even maybe an in-person eventually, where you can come in and interview a group of people where we have advertising and sources to get those applicants.
For both job seekers and employers, the services of Workforce Investment Solutions isn't just about all the legwork going through Workforce. Peterson says sometimes there's a financial or time commitment for an employer or a worker.
Yeah, take the job seeker. If you're looking for a job or you've been out of a job, you go, what's my first step? And sometimes it's just for us to listen to a person. What are your interests? Maybe you can sit down at a computer and sort of help focus your ideas of what you want. So Workforce is there to assist you. Now, yes, we do have some funding. Let's say if you want to go back to school and you're going into an industry or an occupation that requires a certain amount of certification. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get that paid for? Well, you got to put skin in the game. You got to come in, you got to fill out the paperwork. If you're eligible, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go to, let's say, Richland Community College and say, here's a voucher for spring semester?
You can learn more about Workforce Investment Solutions by calling 217-875-8751 or visiting worknetdecatur.org. It is 21 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday morning. We start the day under partly cloudy skies, 33 degrees, with a wind chill of 28 this morning. Plenty more to get to coming up on the WHOW Morning Show.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Baum Motor Company in Farmer City, our job is to help you and solve your transportation needs. This is Scott Baum. Both in Clinton or Farmer City, we'll listen and find options for a different vehicle. Or we'll give you repair options to keep that car, truck, or SUV safe and trouble-free so you can continue with your busy schedule. If it has to do with transportation, we're here to help. Visit our full-service team today in Clinton or Farmer City. Baum Chevrolet Buick, right from the start.
It is 22 minutes after the hour this morning. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Governor J.B. Pritzker is urging communities to put their own COVID restrictions in place if necessary. With some areas running out of ICU beds, the governor says local leaders may want to crack down even further than the state's current indoor mask mandate. He points to a new vaccine requirement for entering certain businesses taking effect in Chicago next year.
I hope that people across the state will take example and look at what will work in their community, because just saying that you're going to look at vaccine cards may not work in one place or another. And so you've got to know your community and get it right in your community.
Every county in Illinois is currently rated at high risk for transmission of the virus.
I want to call on local leaders to do the right thing for their communities, just like Mayor Lightfoot did, just like President Preckwinkle did. They looked at their communities and said, this is the right thing in my local area.
Chicago and Cook County vaccine requirements for going into certain businesses like gyms, bars, and restaurants begins next week. The Illinois Department of Labor is reminding the public about some new laws taking effect next year. One new law expands what's called the Vesa Act to cover more than just victims of domestic violence, says Labor Assistant Director Jason Keller.
Which provides that victims that happen to be employees of any violence are able to take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave during the course of a year to basically seek medical help, legal assistance, and counseling of that sort.
Another law makes trampoline courts subject to inspection by the state, just as amusement park rides must be checked before they can start operating.
We just want to make sure that these trampolines are inspected, that employees have background checks done on them, and then just receive proper training to operate the trampolines as well.
The Vesa Act ensures employees can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave to seek medical care, counseling, and more after a crime. This is the time of year we look back at the year that was ending and ahead for the year to come. Gary Crawford talks the farm economy to the doctor's office for its annual health checkup.
Here we go.
For many of us, that's the way we bid the old year fond farewell and welcome in the new one. For some of us, it's New Year's resolution time, exercise and such. For me, it's time to come into the doctor's office for my yearly health checkup. And it's also when we check out another patient here, the farm economy, and see how its health is holding up. And we'll do that on this edition of Agriculture USA. I'm Gary Crawford. There have been some years when we had to bring the farm economy to the doctor's office for its yearly checkup in an ambulance. Some years it had to be brought into the emergency room instead of the doctor's office, but not this year. This year, the patient's walking briskly through the hospital to the office of Dr. Seth Meyer, chief economist with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Dr. Meyer, with me here, I've got the farm economy. We had an appointment for today.
Okay, we're doing our annual checkup.
Yes, that's right. So, doctor, toward the end of 2020, after looking at the patient's income up to that point, which, of course, income is one key to economic health, you projected that income in 2021 would fall from 2020. Happily, your projection turned out wrong.
It absolutely did. Maybe I was being a little overly cautious at the beginning of the year.
And that's understandable, since direct government payments to farmers for things like COVID assistance, which amounted to about 40% of 2020's income, were scheduled to fall from over $45 billion in 2020 down to $27 billion in 2021. That happened as expected, but the farm economy really did well, didn't it?
When the patient came in a year ago, prices were moving higher. Things were looking good. We saw government support being pulled back from their record high levels in 2020, that we were seeing dollars from the marketplace come in and replace them. And in fact, for every dollar we lost of government payments, we got more than an additional dollar from the marketplace. And the year as a whole looked pretty good.
Of course, now we're getting the lab results here from this latest checkup. Looks like farm income in 2021 will end up about 23% higher than last year, with a reading of almost $117 billion. That's like telling us that our cardiovascular health improved by 23% during this last year. Oh, and wow, look at some of these other measures of health on the chart.
When we look at things like debt to asset ratios or, bankruptcies, we're at pretty low levels. So it's perhaps not surprising that debt to asset ratios still look pretty favorable for the industry.
Of course, we're speaking of the patient as one generalized body, but just like us, there are a lot of parts of the farm economy. Dr. Meyer, I see a note here on this report that while the overall economy is doing great, what does it say there?
Maybe not quite so great of an outcome for those patients out on the West Coast where they've both experienced drought and not seen the price support for some of their fruit and vegetable products and things in the West.
But generally, farm economy seems in good health. Oh, now wait a minute. Here's another result from the lab evaluations. Look at this input versus output evaluation. Now, according to this, we've got skyrocketing costs for inputs, things like fertilizer and fuel and everything the patient uses to produce products. So what is your advice then to our patient on that score? Watch your diet?
Absolutely. Watch that intake. Like I said, the fatty foods that they're telling you to watch are going to be those input prices. Keep an eye on those costs. Understand where you're at in terms of your cost of production. I think that, when we look at prices right now, prices look pretty good, but an overall expectation, we might see some softening of prices under normal conditions, but not much over the last 2 years been all that normal.
Yes, that's for sure.
Expect across the board on the crop side for many of the livestock categories as well, too, an expectation we might ease off of what have been pretty good prices. So expect a little bit of a softening on cash receipts.
Which, again, according to the readout here, might mean having to maybe have farmers go on a diet as far as spending in general. Any other advice there to tell your patient today, Seth Meyer?
You had a good year. You did a great job, but you're not getting any younger.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my personal checkup results you have there on top. And who are those doctors they keep calling anyway? Anyway, that's this edition of Agriculture USA. I'm Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
It's 29 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday morning. Under partly cloudy skies, it's 33 degrees in Clinton this morning. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Get news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. Coming up on 7:30, network news, network sports, and local sports, all on the way here on the WHOW Morning Show.
Thomason in Washington. The White House playing up what it says is a federal plan for